Okay, while the political talk in Washington has escalated to a fever pitch, there's a different kind of fever on a different kind of pitch going on in Brazil. The World Cup is finally underway. Goals, calls, and points are the big news now, and as expected, the home team is on a roll. Brazil is heavily favored to win, but there are many matches to go, and any one of them carries the possibility of an upset. Well, sports journalist Didier Morais joins us, and welcome. Now that the game is in front of us, what do you see here? Reading the tea leaves here, I mean, is Brazil like the overall favorite this time around?
Well, you can't count them out because they have the home field advantage. I mean, you're in Brazil, you have all the fans that can come support you. And not only that, but they have one of the best coaches in Luis Felipe Scolari. He's already taken Brazil to the promised land once back in 2002. He resurrected Portugal from the ashes, so he has the coaching pedigree, and they have arguably one of the best young stars and names who already in the opening game, he made his presence felt scoring 2 goals. So you can't count them out whatsoever.
Okay, you've got players and coaches, but you have one other factor in there, most important, referees. And some people are charging that the referees might be favoring Brazil. Tell me it ain't so.
I mean, you don't want to say it's so, but at the end of the day, I mean, these guys do fear for their lives. You know, if you know that if you make a controversial call and you're trying to go make it home and you're in the middle of Brazil, of course you're going to fear for your lives. That said, however, you do believe in the integrity. Of course, absolutely. We've seen this before, and it's so unfortunate. And obviously it doesn't happen as much anymore. But we remember in 1994 when a Colombian soccer player scored in his own goal, and unfortunately he was found dead afterwards. Now, that always isn't the case, but there is always that fear, and that's a reality because this is a global sport, and part of it is, unfortunately, a lot of money running on this, whichever way you look at it.
Money, and of course, people otherwise living vicariously through their athletes, you know, in this particular situation, and other sports too, and to be fair about this. What other controversies do you see surrounding this World Cup, if any?
I think obviously the protests, there was a lot of concerns heading into everything, and we saw heading into the opening game there were protests and tensions were running high where the police had to address some of those protesters. But honestly, I think at the end of the day, those have all moved to the back burner because really the World Cup comes once every 4 years. There's so much excitement around it, so many countries, new countries, teams with a lot of promise and expectations, and I think it's more excitement now more than anything.
Well, let's talk about that. You know, certain African countries are faring prominently in this. We're talking about the Ivory Coast, Cote d'Ivoire. Do they have a chance?
Absolutely. I mean, they upset Japan. Japan is known as one of the formidable teams, especially coming out of Asia, and they had a 1-0 lead yesterday. As soon as they put Didier in coming off the bench, that just changed the game. That changed the momentum, and Ivory Coast came in and pounded 2 goals in 3 minutes, and they ended up carrying it to a 2-1 victory.
What about Argentina? Apparently, I think the last time it was held in South America, didn't they win the World Cup, or they were like pretty good contenders?
Absolutely. They always do well when it's around their home territory and their area. But they have arguably the best player in Leo Messi. But Leo Messi hasn't always had his best performances in the World Cup. So that'll be certainly something worth monitoring to see if Leo will continue to maintain this momentum that he had in Barcelona. Didn't have the best season in Barcelona, so let's see if he can at least pick it up for the national team.
And I got to tell you what, even though he may be one of the best players, like the LeBron James of soccer or football as it's called around the world, he's not going to figure prominently. I'll tell you why. He doesn't go by one name.
Hey, you have Ronaldo, and everybody knows Ronaldo is that global brand.
I've got to ask, though. It's a long shot, a dark horse. The Americans. Come on now.
I got to be honest with you. Right now, they're a rebuilding team. This is their first World Cup under Jurgen Klinsmann. They've had the regime under Bob Bradley, and they made a lot of strides. But they're in a rebuilding moment right now, and that's part of the reason why they kept Landon Donovan off the team. They're getting infiltrated with a lot of youth, but they have to put this whole program together. And honestly, they are in the group of death. They are in, Germany, Portugal, Ghana are all experienced teams that have made deep runs in the World Cup before. So honestly, the odds don't look that strong for the U.S. just given the fact that they have inexperience on the roster, and they're arguably in the group of death. A team with loaded. Germany is especially a heavy contender to win it all. Okay,
we got 30 seconds left here. I want a prediction from you, a long shot that you think could possibly win this.
I wouldn't say it's a long shot, but Ghana has always made strides. In 2006, they made it to the round of 16. In 2010, they made it to the quarterfinals. If they can get past the group of death, they can continue building on that momentum from all these last years. So we shall see. It'll be exciting.
We shall. I'll be watching right along with you. Didier, thank you so much for joining us.
No problem.
All right.